setup. I kind of like it though.
Thank you. I've just realized though, because the window's directly behind me, I'm realizing there's this massive shadow that like comes in awkward places on my face. Is it bad?
Wait, well, I didn't notice it, but now that you're saying it, like it kind of like is like darkening right
Just
here.
giving me a beard, eh?
Yeah.
Because it's like the laptop is cutting me off there, I guess.
You
Oh, well.
have to get a little like light, like a ring light.
Or am I a shadow daddy?
You might be.
You're right. I'm gonna have to just give in and get some proper equipment after 4 years of doing the podcast. I mean, I got the mic, but I will say
The
it's getting
mic is good.
old putting my laptop on 12 books to bring it to eye level. Okay,
Yeah,
like
you might have to think about
not eye level, obviously just a little bit of eye level to just give me angle. Above a
that.
little above eye level to give me angles, let's be honest.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I see. Well, I have this light. I don't know what kind of brand it is, but see, it's little.
Oh Lord Almighty, it's big.
Oh, it's big?
Yeah.
See, and it just gives just a little razzle dazzle. I got it for, I don't know if it was Mother's Day or my birthday. The fam got it for me
I'm
because
gonna have to get it.
again, like we've been doing this for how long and still just don't even care to get the proper equipment, if you
Oh
will.
no, you're right. I'm gonna have to get a light because yeah, it's bad today. Maybe it depends on the time of day, or if I go on an angle, will it be better?
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, I like the beard. I
You love a shadow daddy.
yes. It's giving like when you role played Mariano, it's giving Mariano vibes.
I was thinking that too.
Handsome. You
That
are
face,
handsome.
handsome with my
Yes.
mullet.
Yes. What's behind you? Is that like a jewelry cabinet?
That's my friend Henry's shop.
Okay, yeah. That's his shop is right there.
Yeah, he's been abroad traveling. Oh, bless him.
Oh,
He's
so
been
he's
to
still
like
gone.
Thailand. He came back for a couple weeks, but then he was because he was going to go to Japan after. I was like, I can just keep it here for you. Honestly, I've grown quite fond of it.
It's cute. Yeah, I mean, you might as well just start selling his merch while you're here. That
I
is cute.
I
That's
could
hilarious. That's his
too.
shop.
I
You
could
could.
too. Our audience would want to buy it because he puts like good intentions and good energy when he makes the jewelry. So,
Yes. Oh, I love the bracelet you got.
doesn't it
Yes.
feel calming and like zen when you
Yes.
wear it? I
I
feel
w honestly like I do because every I just wear it and I just like playing with the beads as I'm
yeah.
like fiddling or when you get nervous or whatever.
100%. Well,
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome everyone to the podcast. Um, I am drawing a blank because I had something I
You're
wanted to ask.
Angela Montoya.
I am Angela Montoya, author of Sinner's Isle and A Cruel Thirst, and Monsters in Masquerade is coming out same day as A Cruel Thirst. So gearing up for such fun things. And I'm here with Melanie Schubert, author of Severed Cape, and what? Oh, wait. Do we know the other title? What's another title for the next
Oh, I
anthology you're
haven't
doing?
named it yet, the Einstein
Oh,
story. I haven't named it
yeah.
yet.
Okay. Okay. And I am here with soon to be author of another anthology piece. We
Mhm.
will learn the name when Melanie decides to reveal it to us. It's
Yes.
coming. I have a feeling sometime she's going to do something big about it. I have a feeling.
It.
There'll be a post.
No.
There'll be some sort of post and she might be dressed up.
Ooh. Okay.
I,
Shit. No pressure.
I mean, I think you have to.
Oh, when the
You
story
got to do
comes
it
out,
big.
absolutely I will. I just love cosplaying, I think. And so book cosplay feels like low stakes as well. You know,
I
it's
love
not like
that.
I think if I did Comic-Con, I'd feel like this pressure to really execute it to like the official level of something, you know? But book cosplay
Mm-hmm.
is forgiving. They'll take
It's
an
very forgiving.
interpretation, you know?
Yes, they will. They will. You did Katya's one. That was cool. That was scary.
Yeah.
With the
Thank you. I did
eyes.
frighten myself a bit doing that one, but it was fun. It's so interesting though, because I find like side tangent, but I find that the more I've deconstructed from like conservatism, the less, well, it makes sense. The less frightened I am of horror stuff.
Hmm.
Like I
Hmm.
definitely, I don't think I'm ever gonna be I still have a very like sensitive, vivid mind. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna be the one who wants to watch like people being chopped up by chainsaws and shit. I want the horror to have a point, I think. I love horror that has like some kind of, justice, vengeance, you know?
Yes. Yes. No, it makes sense. You are the author of Severed Cape,
Yeah,
which
it feels like
feels
more
right.
applicable than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not kidding. You're not kidding. Yeah, I don't do horror that much either.
Mm,
I know like the boys, Armando and Adrian, they love like they've watched every movie.
mm.
Um, I don't, it's funny because I used to like horror like when I was younger,
Did
but
you?
then, yeah, but after I had Alicia, so when she was like a baby, we
Mm.
watched, it's the dumbest movie. It's called 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
So it's like, so in certain parts of Alaska, there are like a times of year where it's just darkness for a few months or just
yeah,
daylight. There's different, I think, different things. I've never been.
yeah.
But according to the movie and to, Wikipedia. Anyway, so like so in this movie, okay, there is a village in Alaska and for 30 days it's just darkness. It's just night.
Fuck that.
And so a lot of the villagers they'll leave, they'll go to a different town
Yeah.
or something like that because it gets depressing or
Mm,
whatever the reason was. So in the movie, a bunch of people leave, but a bunch of people stay.
mm.
And then once it gets dark, all these vampires come and they have like free reign because it's just dark. And so they just like rip through this town. And there was a scene, it was like these, this like this father and his kids, and he like killed it. Spoiler alert, he like killed his kids because he didn't want obviously them to be ravished
Vampire.
by vampires. And I just had Alicia, and for some reason it just like really hit me so
Yeah.
deeply. It was like, like this like weird feeling of like what would you do if vampires came? And so ever since then like I can't do horror because I just start like my brain just goes like what would you do?
Yeah.
And the answer is I would just probably have a heart attack.
That's it. And I think that's writing it has been very different, but I think because we inject ourselves into the story, it lights up your brain as if you're experiencing it, right? So
Yes. Oh my God.
I like, especially like living with anxiety and panic disorder shit. I'm like, I don't need someone else. That's why I'm like not a theme parks girly, because like historically I mean, I wouldn't say never to a roller coaster or something, but as a general, it could just trigger my fight or flight. And like, I don't
Right.
need that. I
You're
like
like, yeah, my brain does enough.
my brain does enough. It's thrilling enough just walking out the door, mate. Like, I don't need to like when I see people jump out of planes and shit and they're like, wow, like no shade if that's your thing, but like for me, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I think just being alive is a fucking miracle. I don't need to jump out of a plane to prove it to myself. You know what I
Yeah, you feel alive enough. You are feeling all of the feelings just walking outside. Yeah,
mean?
you're good. You're good.
Speaking of all the feelings, it looks like it was a glorious night for you. Are you knackered?
Yeah. No, it was really
Huh.
fun. So I got invited to be a what do you call that? I don't know, just to be an author at an
Yeah.
event and
Guest
a featured,
author?
yeah, featured author.
Ooh.
And it was libraries and legends or legends and libraries, a
Ooh.
masquerade ball. Which was put on by like our like Capital City Books, which is like a local independent bookstore in Sacramento. And yeah, so they put on this really awesome event. It was really fun. It was downtown Sacramento at the library. And but the library is like this ballroom. So people get married there, all that stuff. So it's like this gorgeous room.
It looked
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, it was so pretty. And so people like really got all done up.
Yeah.
and like really done up. And it was really fun just hanging with the authors
Mm.
and drinking some wine and yeah, just BSing. And then I had like a little signing for probably a half an hour.
Yeah.
And it was fun because this is such a local event that, like as people were, in line, we were chatting about the book and, signing the book. And I was just like, "Oh, are you guys like where are you guys coming from?" And like three of the people in my line were from my town, like from Lincoln.
Oh.
And so yeah, so that was fun. I was just like, "No shit." And they're like, "No shit." And yeah, so it was fun like meeting readers that have already read my book there that
Oh.
are local. I like it just
That's
feels like
wild.
it's fun. Yeah, it was fun because you like have this book out in the world
Mm.
and like I'm so used to chatting with people who have read it, on the East Coast or in, all over the place, but not so much like here. And so
Yeah,
that
like
was fun.
they went into a bookshop, they saw your book on the shelf, they bought it, they loved it, they looked you up. It's like so old school in the best way. Like the original, I went to a bookshop, I found a book, and look, the author's at an event. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that honestly, it was so fun. And yeah, it was awesome. And just like I loved it. So yeah, we got to dress up and all the
Yay.
cute stuff, and I felt like a
Yeah.
little like pirate wench in my little
Yeah, you looked
outfit.
hot. Pirate Wenchie goodness. It
Yeah.
looked really
Yeah.
beautiful, the event. I was thinking, I couldn't not think of that failed Bridgerton event that was in the news and think that this
Yes.
is what they hoped for. At
Yeah.
least. At least.
Dude, honestly, I was giggling with it because I was talking to some friends at Isabel Ibanez's
Yeah.
signing the other day, and I knew they were coming, and so we
Yeah.
were kind of chatting about it. And that in the back of my head, I was thinking like, oh, I hope this isn't just going to be some like awkward thing where we're just standing around. There's like no music and it's just like dead. But yeah, no, it turned out really, really well, and it was really special. It was their first time ever doing it, so I'm sure
Yeah.
it's only going to grow and get bigger. But yeah, well, because on their social media, like on their Instagram, they hardly posted. And so I
Really?
was thinking like, oh, how are we doing this? How are we
Mm.
doing this? But it's such like a established and well-known bookstore
I
that they were
see.
sending out email blasts and their net newsletter. And so
Yeah.
people who are just
Mm.
love the bookstore were there. So yeah, it was really, really fun. I loved it. Need
Yes.
more like bookish events like that where you just get
Yeah.
dressed up and like chit chat. I love that they had authors there. I think it was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm proud of you. It's
Thank
like,
you.
yeah. And it's always nice when you go to those things and like you don't feel drained after. Sometimes it really just like lights
Yeah.
up those chakras of experience or whatever. And you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
did something. And like there's a physical tiredness, but it like filled the cup more. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Again, we were just chatting about this in the DMs, but there's so much about being on this podcast that truly has changed the core of my brain. Like my
Absolutely.
brain functions have changed. And so like when I was just chit-chatting with the authors,
Yeah.
I knew how to ask them things now
Yeah. How to
and
continue the
convert.
conversation is actually a skill to learn. And like
Yes.
when I was younger, I wasn't like that either. But it's 100%. I was never more grateful for our 4 years of training than last week because I was Katya's in conversation person. And
Yes.
I was like, shit, this is gonna be a lot. Like it feels different having like because when it's just us on the pod as well, I'm like I forget for a period that I don't think I ever fully forget that people are going to listen, but it is different because it's just us and we've like made a kind of relaxed zone between the two of us.
Yeah.
And I was just like shit, like what if I just freeze up? Like what if I have a like panic attack? Whatever. I was like having these moments in my head, but then yeah, I kind of maybe because I did that panel earlier in the year, I was like, no, you know you can do it. Take your CBD, and it's at the end of the day, you're just here to celebrate your friend. And I think
Hmm.
that like that was the perfect first one to do. But yeah, when I got up there and I was like, fuck, like, is it gonna be all right? But it was just yes, there was the pressure of the crowd, but even though it was like anxiety triggering, and there's parts of you that are like, I actually loved it as well. Like, I love bantering with the crowd. I love like bantering with the person on stage and just like, I think people would look at it and be like, oh, she's a natural. She's so good at this. They wouldn't expect that we have such panic about it
Yeah,
beforehand, or like
yeah.
how many mental hurdles we have to overcome, how many times we're like, why the fuck did I say yes? But then
Every time.
then you know why you did, because like after I was like all like I was just like you have this just like little glowing ball in your chest of like I did this like thing that I never would have thought I could do, and people
Yeah.
liked it. People enjoyed having me up there. I made people laugh and it lit up something in my brain, and I've been like on this little cloud ever since.
As you should. You're like, who else needs me and to host? Who else
Not,
needs it in conversation?
I mean, not quite, but I'd definitely do it again for Katya because
Oh
it's
yeah.
definitely easy when it's a friend because you want to just cheer for them and celebrate. So if your brain blanks, you can just kind of go back to being like, and I fucking love Katya.
Yes.
Although I have to say, oh my God, I did not know we would be on stools.
Frick, I hate stools.
Bitch. So I like fucking wore this denim dress, which was like short, and I
Oh
wore
yeah, it looks so
fishnets.
hot.
Thank you. It wasn't that short, but for sitting it creeps up. Not that I care, but I wore fishnets, and without thinking about it, I wore fluorescent pink underwear under my fishnets. And I get into this bookshop and I'm looking at the stool and I'm like, I didn't think about that. I'm gonna have to balance on this stool and somehow keep these fucking legs shut enough to not flash my fluoro pink undies to the whole audience. I mean, at a point, I had a friend there and I was just like, listen, I was like, just be on undie watch. She's like, don't worry, I've got you covered. So she was kind of like making sure I didn't like flash the whole crowd. At a point, I just made my peace with it and I was like, if it happens, let them eat cake.
They get
But
a free show.
I was pressing my thighs together so hard the whole interview. I started trembling my thighs
Oh
because I was just
no.
like, because you're balanced and you don't want to just
Yeah.
like accidentally spread.
Yes.
So my thighs are like, which like I already had nervous shakes. I get really shaky. So I was just like a shaky mess, but it was great. No one would have known. No one knew. My
No
undies
one knew.
remained, those legs were firmly clamped up on the stool. It was a whole, my core strength had never been more tested.
You got a workout and you got to support a friend. Like that's pretty great.
Absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
my God.
But
Stupid stools. Like
stupid stools.
who would want to do one on stools? Come on, no one likes even sitting on stools, let alone
Yeah.
interviewing on stools.
Yeah, my butt hurt after just from the hardness of the stool. Wow. Given the dual meaning of stool, you could take that a couple ways. But anyway, I'm so glad I did it. And it just got me thinking all over again, like these moments in life. I think like, oh man, I so wasn't like this when I was younger. I kind of was just waiting for things. I was always waiting for things to happen to me. I was like, this is gonna happen. And it doesn't.
Hmm.
Things don't
Hmm.
just happen to you for the most part, especially not like big dream things. And I was like, oh, this is it. You do it when you're shaking in your boots. You do it when you're uncertain if you have the right words or if you have enough strength, or like when it doesn't like feel perfect, you do it. And then that's how you level up, right? Like,
Yep. Yep. It's true. And I think even like this is good advice for budding authors
hmm,
because I mean the hope is when you publish, people are going to want to hear what you have to say about your book
yeah.
or about writing or whatever it is. And so if you as a writer do want those things, like if you do want to be on the panels and being interviewed about things, I mean, it's something to consider, like to start working your way up to that. However you do
Mm.
it. Obviously, you don't have to start a podcast, but if people ask you, like, hey, do you want to do a little live chat or, all like start building yourself slowly up. Like, get yourself
Hmm.
comfortable with talking in front of humans, which is
Yes.
a scary ass thing, but I think it's something that is a good idea to do if that's what you want as an author. You know what I mean? Because you
Oh
are going
yeah.
to be in front of people and it's scary as hell. But if you slowly build yourself up, you'll still be scared, but at least you know you'll make it through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's really good advice. And you're so right. Like, it doesn't have to be like a podcast or hosting something straight away. Like, even if you just join some of these groups, and even if they're shit, sometimes they're shit, but all of it does still build you up to,
Yeah.
like, kind of, like you said, just be face to face with people. And yeah, like, I think one of the nice things was, even though I was nervous, I wasn't like, it was different. It was like just general, my nervous system gets easily hyped up nerves. But like in somewhere in here, I was kind of like, oh yeah, like, yeah, the autopilot from doing the pod did kick in. I was just like, I'm here because I know the reasons I'm here. And I'm calm
Mhm.
because I like kind of know myself and trust myself. So yeah, it was wild, honestly. Like, but yeah, he, it's wild to be on the other end. I felt such a release when I had actually done it. I was like, it's not going to be an everyday thing for me just because it's like I'm still super overstimulated. Like after they were like, "Oh, shall we go out for drinks?"
Oh,
And I
not the
didn't.
after the drinks. No, that's a hard
Yeah,
one.
yeah. And I didn't know that that was the plan for after. And I was like, I've been so in my revision cave. Like it was a real contrast to like being in deep in revision, deep in your head. And I was just like, wow, I think it's getting to the point my energy's spent. And so I went home and I said to Katya, like, sorry, like, I love you so much. Let's go out again after, but I've kind of reached. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, and maybe that's why I felt comfortable because I think I've come to the point where I'm not going to like sacrifice my actual needs. And maybe that made me more calm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think maybe in the past I would just like soldier on until I felt like I was going to pass out. But like I kind of reached a point I was like, yeah, I did the thing. I wasn't mentally prepared for drinks after, and Katia loves me anyway, like she's not
Yeah.
going to be like, how could you not come for this? She's just glad I was there. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
Learning
interesting.
to say maybe next time
Yeah,
is key.
100%. And again,
Yeah.
I have to come back to the fact that this bookish community, like it is different. Like it's kind of like a lot of us are like-minded, and even stuff that later I was like, oh, was that stupid I said that, or like I think I can be a bit, yeah, cheeky. My humor leans towards a bit cheeky. But like people liked it, so
They like your cheek.
they like my cheek.
Luckily, they didn't see the other
Girl,
cheeks.
they probably saw cheek.
Well,
Ah,
hey, get a little view. What
little
not? A little
view. I think
show.
the older I get, the less I care about that stuff. But then every now and then a feminist part of my brain kicks in and I'm just like, don't look at me. You know?
Yes.
It like depends. If it's like all in like joking fun and stuff, then I'm like, yeah, who cares? Nudity, whatever. Like, you see me naked, whatever. I don't care. But then there's another part of you that's like a certain kind of
Hmm.
man. And you're just like, if you so much as glance at me, I'll break your spine. There's a
I will
very
break your
different
spirit.
100%.
Yes.
What
Yes.
are you working on anything now or are you having a break?
No, I had some little things to do
Yeah.
today. They're secret things.
Oh,
They're secret fun things. I don't even know if I've told you this, but I
Oh my
I
gosh.
cannot reveal it on the pod, obviously.
Mm.
But there is there is a like a bookish box situation. Not,
I'm gonna slide in my DMs later.
yeah, I'll slide in the DM. So I was working on a little something,
Yeah.
which I'm really excited about. So that's fun.
Mm.
Did I have I told you about that?
I don't
Probably
know.
not.
I
I
don't think
probably
so.
I probably haven't because I didn't want to jinx myself because listeners, I thought I was going to be in a bookish box and then it suddenly didn't happen. And it was a sad moment. So I didn't want I knew something. Ran into somebody at a steamy lit con and it
Mm.
was somebody that was part of a different thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, we just read A Cruel Thirst. We love it.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh. Amazing.
probably gonna have you in this thing. And I was in shock, but then I was like, well, I'm not gonna say anything because who knows in publishing.
Do I cut this part out?
I don't know.
Have a think about it. You've got like
Okay.
two
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I was doing some things for that, which is fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, so that's what I was doing today. And then I'm working on my adult
Mm.
romanticy situation. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's done, right? But then I'm back at it again, and I think I'm into chapter like 7 of like going back
Woo!
in.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
Amazing. I mean, it's only a month now till
oh yeah, I
April
know.
1st.
Yeah.
How does
So
that
that's
feel?
it's so different from Sinner's Isle,
Mm.
100%. 100% so different. Um, like n not that I don't feel like any less excited. I just don't feel so much pressure that I
Mm.
did for Sinner's Isle.
Yeah.
And I think it's been nice this year seeing Sinner's Isle slowly build and find a readership. And
Mm.
so I know for A Cruel Thirst it will as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are gonna really love the characters in A Cruel Thirst and so like I feel good. You know,
Yeah.
I did cut off my TikTok and my X account.
Oh, yeah.
I both of them wiped out and I honestly do not miss it, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I will probably go back right before
Mm.
debut just to like do a bunch of videos like and I
Yeah.
feel like I'll be more excited this time. Like it's not a chore. It's just gonna be for fun.
Yeah.
But I think having that break of so much information and like doom scrolling and
Mm.
all of the stuff, like taking a break from it and actually breathing and living in my body in this like
Mm.
reality has been really nice. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, it's been nice. I've gotten so much done. Like I put Christmas decorations up just to
It
feel
looks
happy.
wonderful.
Yeah, my orange leaves are off of the
I
the
know.
fake
I
palm
kind of
tree.
miss the fake fall. I kind of miss fall Montoya, but I'm very looking forward to Christmas Montoya.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I think it's been nice, but
Yeah.
definitely this launch feels a lot less pressure on my
Mm.
shoulders. So I'm taking it easy because I know next year
Yeah.
in February and March I'll be traveling like quite a bit. So
Yeah. For
for
bookish
bookish
stuff.
things.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, I'll be going to Love Y'all in Atlanta. And then, which I did last year, or actually it's this year, technically, but which was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to LA for RomanticyCon. And
Ooh.
then I'm going to Florida for the Southwest Florida something.
Mm. Is
So,
Florida the Gators place? Like all
yes,
the
yeah. Yeah,
alligators
yeah,
are
yeah.
there? Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Watch out.
famous.
Watch
Very,
out.
very famous. Yeah, I'll watch out for that. So yeah, I'll be traveling quite a bit
Yeah.
next year. So I'm taking it easy. I'm gonna do my event with
Good.
Sandra, the Sandra
Yeah.
Proudman, December 17th at a seat at the table bookstore. Reserve your
Mm.
spot now if you're local. And then I'll be in the Bay Area at Linden Tree Books with Haley Dennings, who was on the show as well.
Yes.
So yeah, feeling good, feeling relaxed.
Good. I'm so
Yes.
impressed that you actually deleted your TikTok in or like paused it or whatever in the end
Yeah,
because
me too.
I know it was like doing your head in, but I also know
Yeah.
how addictive it is. But you're so right.
Yes.
Like once you start to like make space and time for your breaths and your body, and just like you said, living in your flesh, it feels like you just look at it and you're like, like how was I
Yes.
spending so much time in that? And that's not to say I don't still love having like a session scrolling on reels and whatever. I just like at a point realize, yeah, like it starts to maybe it feels or like even the other day I was like looking at some reels and I was like, yeah, I really agree with that. Rah, like and it made me feel good. And then it winds up taking you down a rabbit hole and you're just like, fuck everything. I hate humanity.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Like
Spy.
I have I kid you not. Like since I've been off, I've been driving and I was like see somebody drive by and normally I would like give them a dirty look and be like, I know who you voted for. Like I just know it. But now like I'm just like in my own world,
La la
just
la.
yeah, listening
You
to
have
my
to a bit.
music. Yeah.
You have to a
So,
bit because
yeah.
otherwise it's just too it, yeah, like I always like you never want to sound like toxic positivity or whatever. I've never wanted to seem ignorant, but at a point you just have to claim your peace. You have to like
Yeah.
protect your peace the ways you can. Stay sane, turn the TikTok off. And TikTok especially just seems like this. In the end, I never gravitate. I wonder if that will change. I think possibly if I have a book when I have a book coming out, I would maybe make it just to dump any reels I was making
Yeah. Yeah.
on Thingo. But
No,
like,
it knows how to just suck you in every single way.
yeah.
Like
And
every like shit. I love me some cat videos, and I was getting so many cat videos, and I was in heaven,
I
you
didn't
know.
know
And
this
then it would just
about
like
you.
I love it. Like or like a baby just getting like like blown over by a cat. I love it.
Oh, like funniest home video type reels.
Yes. Oh
Yeah, I
my
love
God.
that
I
too.
can't get enough. It's cats in particular. They just get me every time.
Gotcha.
I
I
just like,
actually went through a stage where we would go on YouTube and Google funny cats and look up a compilation. So that may be your new kryptonite.
it's my catnip. I mean, I love it. I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah.
No,
Yeah,
they're
stay off
funny.
TikTok. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay off it for a little bit and then but obviously you still want to stay informed about what's happening in your world and
Yeah, 100%.
around you. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of your mental health too.
Yeah.
So I
It
knew
doesn't
I needed
have to
this
be like
break.
a constant stream for you to be educated. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
constantly bathing in like the full grief to like still be in the know and to still have empathy and like yeah, it's definitely a balance though. You're right. Like there's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But how are you? You finished. Okay, you finished your revision. How are you feeling?
Good. I felt a bit embarrassed because after I sent it off, I realized I'd highlighted a couple sentences right up top that I was like, I added something in and I wanted to just read it to Phil. And then I forgot to unhighlight it. So after I was riding on my cocky horse of like having done it and just like, riding my high from Katya's event, and then I looked at it later and I was like, I just sent it to my agent with just random highlighted bits through the first chapter. But I don't know. Hopefully she
Oh
still
no, she's
likes
gonna
me.
read it and be like, "Oh, Melanie really wanted me to read these lines." You know, she's gonna be like, "Wow, this is so good."
Well, it was important because in the first draft of things, my main character was a lot snarkier and she had a kind of chip on her shoulder about all the crap guys she'd been dating. In this version of things, because I've like leaned so heavily into the past lives soulmates arc, I changed some of those threads. And so it made more sense when we were looking at backstory that when she was like with this guy, that she was like, yeah, he's lovely, and I could even see myself falling in love with him, but her soul just yearned for her love from her past lives, right? And I got to the end and I was just kind of like, I've made all the guys that she's with very so lovely, and that's true and that exists in the world. But I was feeling kind of mad at the patriarchy that day.
Mm-hmm.
Not my patriarchy, because like honestly, my husband is a gem. Like like he
The way you
it
said it, not my patriarchy.
no, like I just it's such a it's weird because like yeah, you just see stuff and you hear stuff and you just fucking
Yeah.
burn. But like he's not like that at all. So then I never
Yes.
like want to seem just like a full man hater because I'm not. But
No.
there's just a
Yeah.
lot of things that many men do that makes me angry. So
Yeah.
I had like added in these couple sentences of just like just reaffirming that she'd had dates with a lot of shitty guys as well, because that is experiences that people have. And then, so that was what was highlighted. I just had to put something in because it didn't feel, not that it has to be realistic, but it didn't feel true to her to have just had all these magical
Yeah.
experiences. And it was just because her heart yearned. You know, it
Yeah.
felt too, for this character, it just felt too fakey, fakey.
Yeah.
I
And
had
it's
to
not
add it in.
realistic.
It's
Not
not,
realistic.
that's it. That like that's the facts. I think I
Yeah.
was watching Love is Blind, and honestly, like I don't know if I can keep watching that show. Like the toxicity of the men on that show, it's just
Oh,
fucking wild.
boo. We started watching Love Island Australia.
Oh God.
They, I love it. They,
Do I need to watch it? Oh, I think you froze.
oh yeah, we love a. Oh, okay, I'm back. Am I back? No,
You're back.
Melanie?
Yeah.
Okay, can you
You're
hear me?
kind of lagging, but you're back.
Okay, I don't know. I think
Sorry, I
everybody's
went
on
on
my
a
head.
weird tangent.
Oh yeah, I guess we should probably read Lisa's bio.
Absolutely, we should. I'm so sorry. My brain is off with the fairies. But yeah, I finished my revision, so yay.
Good job. Good job. Celebrate yourself. Get your coffee. Buy something sexy.
I bought an entire carrot cake. That's that's damn sexy to me. Shit, I
Hell
can't find the
yes.
bio. Do you have it?
No,
Oh,
but
you wouldn't. Yes. Okay, so the lovely Lisa Tirreno, who is my fellow Melburnian, lives in Melbourne, Australia with her family and a soap opera of chickens. A recovering journalist, she likes museums, old hammer horror movies, and pre-Raphaelite art. She has a degree in English literature and history and is good at stabbing herself with embroidery needles and making elaborate cakes for no good reason. Her debut novel, Prince of Fortune, is out now with Simon & Schuster. She's represented by Jim McCarthy at Dystel, Goderich and Bourret. He's a baddie, Jim. Yeah,
yeah.
he's
Oh,
like a
that's
top,
right.
top
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah. I'll have to try and in the new year get more agents on. I think I said that last New Year's, but
Eh,
we'll get them on. We'll
we're
get them
doing
on
our
as we can.
best, you know, we'll get them on as we
Yeah.
can and as it feels authentic to do it. And anyway, sorry for going on a tangent about the patriarchy.
I think this is a tangenty episode, this little
It's
bit
so
here.
tangenty, dear listeners. Dear listeners, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Sometimes we just get on here and our brains are full. We don't always say cohesive things.
No. They're a little full and a little empty all at the same time.
I feel like I need that tattooed on me.
Half
But
full,
yeah,
half empty.
half full, half empty. It feels right. Oh, hello, Angela Montoya. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you
Hello.
hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because at first I was like, what the heck? But then I realized I had nothing plugged in.
Could you hear me singing to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what's important. Am I
Yes,
recording?
yes.
Absolutely, I am.
And it was
You-
beautiful. Your tones are always so gorge.
Oh, yes. It's what I'm known for. I haven't edited our, I'm going to do that today, edited our episode with to guest yet. And I just remembered that at some point I like give a full rendition of The Lion King.
Oh yes, it was the Lion King. Yes, you went off. Let me turn off my thing.
Yeah, let me check I sent her the link.
You went off on the Lion King too.
You know, the thing is, I get so comfortable around you now and I forget we have to like play that shit to people.
Yes. It's so funny because I just joined like a Discord for like local authors.
Oh yeah?
Like kind of local. Like, we'll talk about the ball thing later, but
Yeah.
so I joined like a local Discord and
Yeah.
someone was like, "Wait, is this the Angela Montoya from Pub Persuasion?" And I was like,
Fuck
"Yes."
yes. I
So
bloody
yeah.
love that. She's
Yeah.
here.
A
Um,
local
I know
author.
it's kind of a month of Melburnians in a way. We have
Yes.
Tigest,
Yes.
then Lisa, and I might get Lisa Fuller, the agent, on. I think she's Melbourne girl too. Lisa, Lisa, hello.
Amazing.
Hi.
Hello. I love the background. I like the books, all the fun
Oh,
stuff.
well, I had to hide in my very, very messy shared study because my child is homesick today. So I needed to withdraw. Yeah.
Yes.
That is
Oh,
fair,
I
but
Yes.
see
it's
my book in the
amazing.
background there, Mel.
There it is. My beloved arc, because I love your book so much. And yes, I had to put it there while we chat. But I love this office. It's like giving Wizard Cave, honestly. Like I'm here for it.
I love that. Yeah, it is. And I'm here for it, which I think it's going to be, I think you might have some good answers when we get to the our random facts question. But first, do you mind just introducing yourself and telling our listeners who you are?
Yeah, sure. So, hello, I am Lisa Tirreno, author of Prince of Fortune, which you can see in the background there with Mel if you're looking at the video. Yeah, I was a journalist. I keep backyard chickens, which Angela, I think you have chickens as well. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, authors with chickens. I'm trying to make that hashtag happen. Yeah, so Prince of Fortune is my first book. It came out, it turns a month old this week. In the US and Canada, it hits Australia and New Zealand at the end of January. It is just a couple of weeks, Angela, after your Cruel Thirst comes out. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
So exciting. What is the date for that release?
The 29th for the Australia and New Zealand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Of January, you said? Or
Yeah.
December? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, so exciting. Well, I honestly I bought the audiobook just I don't know if it was
I
yesterday or the day
love my
before.
audiobook.
It's so good. I had to have it because Melanie has been talking nonstop about your book. So I was like, okay, I have to get it. And yeah, I listened to the first chapter too, and so good. I'm already hooked. It's so awesome. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
congratulations to everything.
Yeah, it is a beautiful book, and we're going to come right back around to it. But first, the all-important question, what is the strangest thing you own?
See, I had to think about this because, as you say, I live in a wizard cave. Yeah. So I had to think about it because when you craft, because I have a lot of hobbies, you end up like accruing weird stuff.
Mm.
But I pulled out probably the most unusual thing I have is an Italian lap harp. Um, I don't think,
Whoa.
that's going to be a common answer to what you. I didn't think to tune it, but like, so that's
Zoom
that.
is notoriously bad at picking up instruments. Our friend Jill came on a couple months ago and she had a kazoo or something. Is that what it's
Oh
called?
Oh, I've got a
yeah.
few of those. Yep.
Of course you do. She tried to play it and we heard nothing. And sadly, what's it called again? This thing?
The lap harp.
The lapper. Sadly, I heard not nay ye a single note from the
Oh,
lapper.
all
Alas.
right. Look, how about I do an Instagram reel or something of me playing
Yeah.
the lap
Yes,
harp? Yep.
please. Please. I feel like my kindergarten teacher had something similar to that.
Ooh.
Mm.
And it was the coolest thing. It was just we were all sitting there in awe of such
Is it like a
splendor.
harp or something?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Mm.
Do
And
do
how
you
did it?
play? Yeah, like
The very, very basic. It comes with like sheets so that you can learn. And I think it's one of those instruments that you can play it really basically, quite
Mm.
easily. If you want to play it well, you are going to have to practice for years. And
Ah,
I no longer have the patience. So I can play it very, very basically. And I'm like,
yeah.
good, that's all I need. That's fine.
Chords, like chords on the guitar, huh?
That's awesome. Yeah, a little party trick, something to bring out when you got the friends over, just like, hey, everybody, let me play you a tune. I'm
Absolutely. How
here
did it
for
come
it.
into your life? Was it random?
There was like this gnome-like man at a market. I was at a craft market, and he had these beautifully crafted wooden little instruments. And I was like, I'll have one of them. And my child was like, we need this one. So that's what I did. Yeah.
I love it. I love those
Yeah.
random moments. And now you have this amazing instrument. And yes, I absolutely want to see a reel.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'm ready for that as well. Can you tell us like something that you think about way too often? What's your Roman Empire?
I was afraid you were going to say that because my Roman Empire is the Roman Empire.
Stop.
And I always find it hilariously funny because these men that say they think about the Roman Empire all the time, do they actually know anything about the Roman Empire? Like, I did classics at university, like, and you're embarrassing yourself. So, yeah.
I love this answer. Wait, so it just like randomly pops into your head thoughts of the Roman Empire.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
what's a thought? What's like a common Roman Empire thought that you think about? Now I'm curious to
Oh, stuff
understand.
like the fact that they sort of conquered Greece, but Greece culturally conquered them, like their native deities and everything. It's really interesting trying to work out what was there before.
Mm,
And like gods that were there before that are not quite the Greek versions, and like ones that merged, and like that kind of thing is really interesting to kind of track down.
mm,
The fact that we don't know things like exactly how people worshipped in the countryside, we don't know. Like, if you go
mm.
back far enough, we just have no idea. And the part of Italy that my family's from was settled by the Etruscans, not the ancient Romans. So I think about that a lot
Yeah.
as well. And I have a like third cousin-in-law who's a linguist, and he talks about the influence of the Etruscans on the alphabet. So there's all sorts of things to think about. And
Yeah.
do they think about that, or are they just busy thinking about like military might? Because
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
that's 100%. They're thinking gladiator.
I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah.
that. I was 100%. They're just picturing Gladiator or like 300 or whatever, you know? But no, I'm
Yes.
very impressed with that answer. But I want to come back to writing now. Did you always want to be a writer?
Yes. Yeah. No, always since I could write, I wanted to be a writer. I think that that's pretty common. Like there's that statistic about how 80% of people want to write a book someday. So yeah, I don't think that people just kind of fall into it. I think that it's a common dream that people have. It's just whoever decided to actually sit down and do the work. Yeah.
Mm.
Very cool. So, can you tell us a little bit about your publishing journey? Like, when did it all really start, and how did you get to becoming a published author?
Well, mine was pretty textbook, really. So I wrote a whole lot of terrible manuscripts that never saw the light of day that I did not show to anyone because I'm like, this is bad. And I mostly didn't even finish them. And then I finally finished one, and I'm like, okay, I need to try and work out how to fix this. And I realized that the problem was that I'd never properly studied story structure.
Hmm.
So I didn't know how to fix it. I just knew that it was broken. And so I did a whole lot of courses at my local writer centre, which is actually how I met Mel in the first
Yeah.
place.
Uh,
Yeah.
Ah.
Absolutely. Our course is Jodie McAllister.
Well, yeah, they were really helpful, those courses. Like
Mm.
they were really, really good quality. And I kind of went, well, I don't want to fix this up. I'm sick of this story. And I wrote a new one, and that was Prince of Fortune. And I was like, oh my God, finally, something that I feel like I could query with. And I queried with it, and I got my agent, and I did some minor revisions, and then we went on submission and it sold. So like it was, exactly, you know, there was no, I got discovered in a line at McDonald's or anything, like there it was a textbook sort of thing. No book talk drama or anything. It was, yeah,
Mm.
no shortcuts.
Just lots of
So,
hard work.
Mm.
There it
Mm.
is right there. And this is kind of a random question, but like, what would you say is like your why, your reason for wanting to write stories?
Oh gosh. I find that reading is a really good escape and to help people recharge.
Mm.
And particularly in this day and age, I feel a lot like we desperately need to carve out some pockets of joy for ourselves. And particularly for with Prince of Fortune, it's a fantasy novel, so there's war, like there's grim stuff that happens, but it's largely a very happy, sort of joyful, queer joy kind of story. And I just really wanted to put something out into the world that would lift people up.
Mm.
And I think even like now, like the last couple of weeks, we need that kind of thing more than ever.
Mm.
And I just wanted to put something out into the world that would make people feel better. So yeah, Mel
I
is grabbing the book.
Yes, I want to grab this right now because this is kind of like what you're saying, which is on your book. I don't know if it's in the final one, but it says, with a prophesized war on the way, surely a bit of love is only fair. I feel like
Mm,
it's kind of like exactly, and honestly, that's part of what I love so much what you've done with this book actually, because you managed to like touch on some really heavy stuff. Um, but at its core, it's a love story, and it's very like even though it's like this prince and this noble, which we all love, it's got a bit of Bridgerton vibes in the kind of way they court and whatever. But like, yeah, like the humanizing aspect of like what you achieved kind of by showcasing like the actual war aspect alongside a romance for me was quite profound in the book because it's kind of like these things are just words sometimes, but then there's these people with these real stories and living in amidst that. I feel like you
mm,
did that so well, capturing that.
thank you.
I went on a side quest, but yeah, it just
No, yeah, that's powerful. It's beautiful, honestly. And it's true, books really and truly are an escape for so many, and to find the joy, especially now, I think is such a beautiful and it's powerful in and of itself.
Mm.
Okay, another random question that is on not on the questions, but like, how do you have any advice about writing romance? Like, how do you make it impactful or beautiful or sweet? Like, do you have a tip that you use when you're writing romance?
I think that the characters need to lead there. Like I think that often if I'm reading a book and I'm just not believing the romance, it can be because I don't feel like it is how the characters would be acting. So I think if you're writing, if you know your characters inside and out, then you know how they're going to react. You know how they're going to behave in certain circumstances. You know that they are not suddenly going to become a dominatrix in bed or whatever. Like it is one of those things where I think the whole story needs to come from the characters. That's how I tend to write. Um,
Mm. I love
Good.
that. And it's when you can like feel them kind of betraying what made sense for you, but it winds up making the story feel so much deeper when you actually like take the time to get to know them. That's so, so, so true. Now, I got ahead and I started gushing about your book, but for those who haven't heard about it yet, can you tell us a little bit
Yep.
about Prince of
Now, look, I
Fortune?
will blather on. So I have notes,
Yeah.
so that I stick to a short pitch rather than just talk for half an hour. So Prince of Fortune is about Sabin's shy Crown Prince Edmund, who has rare magic that hasn't been seen in centuries, and he is absolutely buckling under the weight of his country's expectations. It has been prophesized again and again that he will be this great king one day. And if that's not bad enough, he's also expected to make a marriage that is befitting of his station. And then he meets the very charming Lord Aubrey Ainsley, and then he has an official problem because he falls head over heels. And look, Aubrey's like totally, totally into it. But he is one of the country's seers, and he thinks everyone should be more worried about this coming war that everybody keeps saying is on its way, rather than the prince's love life. But yeah, he's alone in that. Because and look, I mean, partly that's because he's underestimated how powerful people really love to hold onto their power. And so yeah, so look, it has adventure and romance, it has stolen kisses at balls, and it has sword fighting, and it has murder scarecrows and political maneuvering, and there's a lot of descriptions of food, because I always want to know about the food. So yep.
Yes, immediately, yes. And I like, sorry, I'm gonna just like pick up the book again because you just reminded me of my favorite quote in your book. I folded the page. I'm sorry, book lovers everywhere. But it's when, and you can tell me if you don't want spoilers and I can cut it out, but it's in here when they're having this strategy meeting and you wrote, we're trying a variety of strategies, the general said, refusing to disclose what any of them were, and acting as though he should trust them. He did not trust them. He suspected the generals liked the war. It made them important. The way I like when I read that, I was just like, preach, preach. I, yeah,
I think we're seeing that in a couple of places around the world right now, and like they're not fooling anyone. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say, where's the inspiration? But I think we understand it's just pulling from the world that we live in.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yep.
Dang it.
It was a small but powerful line, and like I just, yeah, it's very validating to read because I think a lot of us think it. But
Yes.
what were there any other key things that inspired you for this particular story?
Oh yeah, there was there were actually there were a number of things like that. There was a bit of a Prince of Fortune soup happening in my head as I went to write it down. So I studied history at university, and I one of the things that I always liked. I was never, that interested in like kings and queens. I love stories about princes, but I don't really think we should be having a monarchy in this day and age. But anyway, that's, just a little soapbox. But anyway, I have always been fascinated with what happens when royals go off script with their personal lives. And so, I mean, I grew up, we were all watching Charles and Diana's marriage imploding. We were all finding out about how he had wanted to marry Camilla and he hadn't been allowed to. And I mean, his uncle, his great uncle, Edward VIII abdicated so that he could marry Wallis Simpson, and that was all very juicy as well. And but one of the things that no one ever talks about when they're talking about the Regency period, which is the closest period to like my fantasy setting for Prince of Fortune, was that the Prince Regent had two wives. So the Prince Regent, who was a bit of a naughty boy, he got married without parliamentary permission. And he married this widow called Maria Fitzherbert. And he, I think, was hoping that the Parliament would recognise the marriage, and they never did. And they then forced him to marry Princess Caroline of Brunswick anyway. So he had two wives. Yeah, no one like that's one of those things where when you have a look at the marriages of like if you go not even very far back, like
Mm.
it's really interesting the way that arranged marriages, we have this idea that they just kind of did it and then they cheated on the side or whatever. No, they often didn't do it at all. And I think that arranged marriages for me are very interesting because I am demisexual and it just would not work. Like that was never going to be something that I would have been able to do. But I was also just thinking about marriage at the time because I had the first ideas for the book
Mm.
in 2018 when marriage equality was being debated in Australia.
Mm.
Now, some of your US states, you had already same-sex marriage that had all, gone through. Our parliament were using it as a political football and they wouldn't even debate it. And it was getting really, really nasty. And I was really, really mad. And then I had this dream with these two boys chasing each other around in a night market. And that scene has actually Like that inspired one of the scenes it's still in the book. But he was this cheeky, charming young man, who was dragging the other one around this night market, and the other one was just so shy, and he was just delighted to be there. And like I woke up and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, that is a great dynamic. Like I really, really like that. I wanted to know what happened next. So yeah, so these all these things just kind of merged in my brain.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, no, we got the book. So
That's awesome. And I mean, honestly, it's one of those things that, uh, you know, so many things are happening in the world and it's so depressing. But there are these books like this and the books that we continue to write that in and of themselves, just queer joy, just joy of, people of color, like that in itself is a political statement.
Mm.
But and so for some people it might ruffle feathers, which is ridiculous, but that's the beautiful thing about being able to do this is like we get to continue to show just us in our natural habitat, being humans. And like I sometimes you'll watch TV shows and you'll see people that have different lifestyles as you, and you learn, you build empathy, like
mm,
because you understand at the end of the day we're just human beings. And
Mm.
so there's just something so powerful about a story like yours where it's just these boys. Obviously, there's so many things happening. There's so much darkness around, but finding these beautiful moments, these sweet moments to just be is so powerful and beautiful. So, yeah, I'm so glad that you took something negative and got to build something sweet and beautiful and powerful from it.
well, that's the thing. I was really angry. And then I was like, well, I don't want to put out an angry book. I don't want to put out any more anger into the world. I want to transform that into joy in a way that will help people to be able to then get on with their day and get on with being angry rather than just feeling worn down and just, torn up.
Mm.
Um,
That's it. And you're both so right. It is reading those stories that builds that empathy. And it's so important. Like, I've touched on this on the pod before. Like, I grew up extremely conservative and de not having most of the views I have now. In fact, believing a lot of that was wrong. And it's like storytelling. It's like people sharing this and like being open to that, that helps you break down like these toxic views that as a child you're just brainwashed into believing it because that's what you're being taught, you know? So thank you for writing these books. And yeah, it that joy is so important. So yeah, and as you know, I'm your fangirl of this book so much. I am obsessed with Edmund. I am a little bit of Edmund. Um he's just the sweetest and yeah, there's so much queer joy in this book. I loved it.
I love that.
Thank you.
Is there anything you wish readers knew before they even open the book?
Uh, One thing that I will say is that I wanted it to be a very safe world for queer people to enter. So there's no homophobia, there's no transphobia, there's none of that were things that I wanted to import into this world when I see people complaining that this kind of thing it's just not realistic. It's my fantasy world, I made it up.
Mm.
It's not
What
supposed to be
is
realistic. It's a fantasy. Like you don't actually have to import homophobia into your fantasy world. That's not something you have to do. So,
is
yeah, I was very much trying to make it safe. Yeah.
is that something you've found that you're getting that kind of feedback?
I'm not, but I've had friends have similar comments made.
Mm.
But same as when you get feminist fantasy sometimes, and you get people saying, "Well, it's just not that's just not realistic," and you're like, "It's a fantasy novel." Um, if
We're
we
100%.
here to
can't imagine a
explore.
world
Yes.
without this prejudice, then what are we even doing?
Yeah, and I think it like you said, it gives someone a safe space of just feeling like I just belong. Like I don't have to read, about my hardships or, the pressures of the world. Like I can just belong in this story as a human being. And, so I think there's something really beautiful about that.
Mm,
Yeah. Well,
definitely.
what would you say has been like the hardest part of your journey so far?
Oh gosh. Finding the time to write. has always
Mm.
been something that I struggle with. And that was something that just got harder after I became a mum. So I don't think I realized before that just how much free time I had. It didn't feel like I had a lot of it, but I really did. And that could have been used a bit better past Lisa. But anyway, yeah, so making sure to carve out the time. I think if anybody is struggling to write, you might not be giving yourself enough time. You might need to be committing a bit more time. Yeah.
Yeah. Are
Mm.
you a early morning writer, late night writer, or just anytime you can?
I used to be a late night writer, and then as I've gotten older, it really has to be the morning. I'm just no good at night anymore. I'm just way too tired. So yeah, yeah, morning.
That's relatable.
So
For sure.
relatable. Not me, like up till midnight last night trying to finish my revision. And I felt today, like I haven't done that in a while. And I was just like, there's a definite reason. There is a definite reason you were fading fast. Ah,
Like the
well,
hangover after, right? Where you just
literally, literally. What about the most rewarding part so far?
Well, having this beautiful book in my hands, obviously, like look at it. It's so shiny.
It's so
it
shiny
is
and it has a
beautiful.
map. There's a map.
Oh, I love my map.
Is there are the UK and US versions different?
The Canadian and the US versions are the same. They're the same. UK is ebook only.
Okay.
The Australian version will be paperback. I believe they're
Ah,
printing them up right now. I haven't seen those yet. But the cover is going to be the same. So yeah.
that's fun. Little paperback, going to the store in Australia. I love it.
Well, how do you feel your creative well, like with limited time? Or maybe like how do you find a way to balance it and self-care in amidst that all?
See, the thing with that is that that has changed
Mm.
during this journey. Like once you enter into publishing, you find that the things that used to help often don't because a lot of us write because we love reading. We all love reading. We love stories. We love storytelling. But reading starts to feel a bit like homework.
Hmm.
And you're all nodding, yeah. And so I found that other things that are similar but that aren't word based are now what I'm kind of finding are a bit more rejuvenating for me. So I love going to art galleries, I love going to museums, anything like that where it's storytelling, but it is sort of more
Mm.
visual or more experiencing a story. Like a really good exhibition in a museum takes you on a journey, just the same way that a book does. But it's taking you there through objects and through an exploration of objects. And yeah, I find that's really helpful. Like travel, even if it's just to like another suburb, like another shopping strip I've never been to. Like even if I'm like, oh, I need to go and buy an X, I might head to a further afield
Mm.
area just so that I'm seeing something new. I'm seeing new buildings, like that kind of thing I'm finding is can be a lot more helpful now that reading sometimes is feeling a bit like a chore. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I love that. The idea of like you're telling yourself a story in a new way. I think that's
Mm.
so cool. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Mm.
Get out there, go somewhere new. It's so true that, and then you always, for me, it's like anytime you do something like that, you always find new inspiration for new stories and it just never
Mm.
ends.
Yeah,
I
I
always feel
love that.
buildings that I
Yeah.
pass. Like I see a building and I'm like, no, no, I need to pull over and take photos of that. And I'm like, right, that's it. You know, that is so and so's house, or that is going to be where this happens, or yeah, yeah. Seeing new sites is really important. Yeah.
Yes, I never thought of it this way because I'm actually exactly the same. Like, even if it's just a new grocery store, I want to see how it's newly arranged. I want to see the different building. And I never thought of it from this point of view that, yeah, it's because as you do it, as you see the new things, you start telling yourself new stories. Like, ah, there was an old wizard who lived in that house for sure. And then he fell in love with the witch across the street. Like, your brain starts making stories in new places. I love thinking of
Hmm.
it like that.
I mean, proper travel ideally would be what I would be doing, but
Absolutely.
yeah, time and money. Yeah.
Yeah, darn it.
Darn it.
Darn it. Dang it. I feel that in my soul.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask our favorite question, which is looking back at all you've accomplished, what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself before you even started this journey?
I know that I wouldn't have listened to it. So I
Yeah,
looked at this
okay.
question when I was sent through, and I was like, no, I did everything in the order that I could. Like if I had told myself, could we maybe study story structure a bit earlier? I would have gone, what do we need to do that for?
Mm,
I don't think I understood how important it would be, or that I don't think I even knew what I didn't know.
Mm.
I wrote intuitively for a really long time, and it really would have been helpful if I had studied craft earlier. But I just didn't want to. So, what are you going to do?
If your future you could show your past you the shiny new book, maybe she could be coerced.
I think she'd go, oh, we did it. It's fine. Great. So,
I'm glad I did what
yeah.
I did. Oh, that's hilarious. Have you found that your like writing style has changed now? Like, you said you were a discovery, so are you a plotter? Like, where are we
I
at?
do have to plot a bit more now. What I'm writing at the moment, I've also, for some reason, decided that I needed to write a heroine's journey, and so that needs to follow the structure. So I have had to plot that out. And my agent wanted to see a synopsis of that, so I did have to write that. And I have found, I don't know how good that was for my creativity, to be honest,
Hmm.
because the joyful feeling of discovery is not quite there when I'm writing. So I don't think I will do something this structured again.
Mm,
It has tampered with my process. I did not realize how important it was for me to just be able to just write whatever and discover my characters through writing and that kind of thing. Yeah.
mm,
So I don't know if my process has changed or not. We'll just
Yeah.
have to see. Yeah.
mm.
Every
That's
new project will be different. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And you're so right though, like it is kind of like that balance is really hard. I definitely struggle with that too. Like because you want to keep that joy and like part of that discovery writing is what brings a lot of the whimsy and magic into your work. But you're right, if you don't have the storytelling bones, it's just a chaotic mess that no one understands.
Mm. And for some reason, agents don't like that. So,
No, they don't like it. They don't like it. And yes, perhaps merging the two things together, the art and the craft, is the lifelong process we all have signed up for.
Yeah, we chose this. We
We
chose this.
chose this, dang it.
Or we just can't not do it, I guess is the proper term. Are you at liberty to tell us like what you're working on right now? Like what's next
oh
for
yeah, I
you?
mean, it might all change, and nobody's bought it yet, so maybe no
Ah,
one will ever see
okay.
it. But so it is set in a like 1930s flavored sort of fantasy world this time. And it's about Ivy Lewis, who is an orphaned heiress who comes back home to find out what happened to her father, and accidentally interrupts a ritual where a priestess who has been trapped in this sacred grove for thousands of years is released. And she has been holding back the end of the world. And
Ah.
so, yeah, that becomes Ivy's problem as well.
I love this.
Yeah. So
Sold.
she's just like, my father's died, and now this has happened, and I've just got to deal with everything, don't I? So, yeah. So that's what
I'm
we're looking at
sold.
so far.
I'm sold. Editors, if you're listening.
Yes. And we've got your launch coming. Do we have an exact date for your launch?
No, no.
Not yet, but it's gonna be happening, listeners, so keep your ears peeled. I
We're
shall
in
be there with
Melbourne.
bells on if you're in Melbourne. We will have a celebration. And maybe there'll be biscuits because I know you like to make fancy biscuits. Will we get Prince of Fortune biscuits?
I was thinking about Prince of Fortune biscuits, yes.
I'm here for it. I'm
No.
here for it.
Well, we've
Oh,
loved having
this
you
is
on today, Lisa. And yes, I adore your book. I'm so excited for it to come into the Aussie lands. Americans, you can already get it. So, go get it.
Yep, get that audiobook or the hardback because the hardback is gorge. So,
Mm.
yeah,
Well,
it
thank you so
looks.
much for having me. This has been absolutely lovely.
Oh, yeah. No, this is awesome. Honestly, Melly's been super, super excited, and I am too. And now I have the book, and I see why she has been gushing over your words. So, congratulations on everything.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Well, we will let you go and tend to your soap opera of chickens and your ailing
Yes.
child.
Yes.
And hopefully there's a quiet moment in there for a cup of tea.